Hello, welcome to this video. Thank you so much for tuning in, sharing in this now moment with myself and with one another. If you haven't seen these videos before, welcome back if you have. My intention is unity and oneness. I want to go into a little just update on what I've been witnessing, experiencing, feeling into. And also, I want to go into a flow with the guides and see what wants to come through. The guides are essentially my energetic companions that are higher versions of myself, collective of energy that is we, that we all can tune into the field. I have different ways of describing it, but the first thing I wanted to share is I had a beautiful opportunity to sit down and have dinner with a group of wonderful women who each brought to the table, literally, something really special. And one of the things I do, I do a lot of things, if you want to call it that, is I'm able to feel into somebody's gifts. I can feel their energetic. I see beauty in many people. I see sometimes what they don't see in themselves. And I like to point that out, even if they don't believe me. I'm not going to come up to somebody and start reading them on the street, but every once in a while somebody asks me, I'll share what I'm seeing. And in this case, I just felt this incredible, I could read people in the room. And it was just so wonderful to be around a group of very unique and individually diverse women, yet simultaneously all held a gift for one another and for myself. One woman was a lucid dreamer, right? And she didn't realize that was normal for her. And I loved pointing out, that's not easy for everyone. That's a gift. And I gave a suggestion on how she could use that for her benefit. And when she was sharing some of her dreams, it gave me some synchronistic ahas that I had been looking for. So it was this exchange. And then another woman that was there was not only wonderful energy, but she was sharing information about relationships that I was going to be able to share with another friend who's very involved in learning information. And I exchanged energy with her and I said, oh, have you heard of so-and-so? You might enjoy this book. You might enjoy, this video. And I'm sharing with her people, she likes math. Another woman, so I'm going to share with her some things. This other woman was like, I said, that's highly intuitive. You're probably psychic. And she was like, yeah, I am psychic. I know, I see things that, my husband calls me a witch. And we just had fun interacting and talking about this. And I don't know that she tells people that all the time, but maybe me bringing it up was fun for her to be able to say it in front of a group of people. And then we could exchange, well, how does that work for you? How does that look for you? And she's like, sometimes I just know. And I could just tell. And I'm really good at reading people. And I'm like, wow, that's a gift. And I was seeing how this other woman, her math skills were a gift, Can you use that and add your intuition? And I was like, that's intuitive, whether you realize it or not. And then I was with somebody else, a dear friend of mine, and she said, I kind of feel like I'm observing this, but I'm not necessarily feeling my lucid dreaming or my psychic abilities or this. But I know clearly that she's able to communicate with loved ones on the other side. Clearly. But just because I see someone else's gifts, again, doesn't mean they see it. And sometimes we know we have those gifts, but we aren't quite able to sync up with them. Part of it's because we don't have the confidence, or we don't know what it looks like, or we're not really sure. And that's the biggest thing is we tend to not realize that's what's happening. My other friend, she is visual. She has visions very easily. When I do energy work with her, she drops right in and goes into this incredibly visual and creative scene in her mind, very vivid. And so does her daughter. And another friend of mine that was there, she's just authentic. And she was like, I don't know. I show up, and if I'm happy and having a good day, that's how I present myself. And if I'm not, I'm honest, and I might be a little kind of spicy I don't know if that's exactly how she said it. And she was like, maybe I should try to just be happy all the time. And I was like, no, your authenticity is refreshing, right? It's okay. She's beautiful. And I'm just like, here you are, this beautiful person just being you, which is like gives other people permission to have a bad day. It gives other people permission to recognize that even though you have this perfect look about you, that it's perfectly okay and you are perfect in just having a normal day. It doesn't always have to be high. And so this was our collaborative conversation. And I just found it incredibly magical, not to mention all the synchronicities that came up. And by me sharing my synchronicities, it helped other people go, wow, it was just, and the point of sharing this message, besides the beautiful gift that I had to experience it. Oh, and I didn't even mention the beautiful story that the daughter was sharing with me of my friend, she's also very vivid and creative. Her creativity comes through in her observations. She's very observant. And I just realized, wow, how blessed am I that I get to have this conversation, which maybe a year ago or 2 years ago, maybe we wouldn't have all come out about this. We wouldn't have felt comfortable enough to share these stories or have these questions or in a group. And in addition to that, we might have then talked about things that were very, fashion or television or, our health issues. These things and we did talk about some of those things. We talked about parasites at the dinner table, which was really fun and really helpful. And I'm sharing this because I'm seeing it happen. And it's inspiring to me not to be afraid, just to have these conversations. Because sometimes by bringing this up, things that people wouldn't usually talk about, it opens the door for expansion. It opens the door for coming together in a deeper way than just the surface layer. We get to go to the sub layer. We get to invite each other to share, to ask, to have ahas, to co-create together. And this is community. And doing it in such a way that we each take in what each person has to offer. And, I feel like we all came away with something more expansive than before we arrived. And it was a good reminder for me to get out there and do this because I'm a hermit at heart. I could easily be even though I don't necessarily seem like that, it is work for me to actually get out and be socially interactive. And once I do though, it's so rewarding. And then I'm reminded as to why it's so important. And I'm here to remind you, don't be afraid to find and get out of your shell, to say things that maybe somebody else might need to hear in a very fun way. Not in well, I'm going to tell you what you are and your aura is this and you should be aware of that. There's those too, and I don't necessarily agree or disagree with that. That's just not my style. I'm not one to launch into a fear something. You've got this energy in your field that you need to watch out for. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about asking questions and interacting and sharing open-heartedly and truly listening with our hearts so that we can feel into the beauty of the oneness and the reflection that each of us is offering for each other. And the more that we do this in community and the more we come together, the faster we expand, the more comfortable we become with our new way of being, right? And the more we can let go of our reservations, the more we can share our observations, and the more we can experience these things. We can observe and see and interact with things in a beautiful way. And I also shared, a friend of mine said, you're so comfortable in this group. And I'm more of this observer. I feel that I'm not necessarily in it. I'm not having these psychic experiences. I don't know if I already said this. I'm not having, but she is. Just by her observing that and having that recognition, And by me pointing out to her, but you are. In this moment, you're the observer. And that's where you're at right now. That doesn't mean you're not having those experiences. By you listening and observing and feeling into it, it brings that into your field of awareness. And I am that too. Even though I'm interacting, I'm still in a deep observation. I'm still, I can't necessarily relate to the mothers that are here because I don't have children. So in that way, I'm an outsider too. I can't necessarily be of the group, but I can observe. And in allowing myself to not feel left out, like, oh, I don't understand them, or they're not going to understand me because I'm not a mother. That's not, that's separation. Instead, I'm observing and recognizing the unification between these mothers that all have something in common. And I get to see and feel through witnessing them what that might feel like. I get to play with that without having to actually be that. Does that make sense? So sometimes we feel, and I go through this too, I feel I don't fit in, or I'm not that, so I must. We all go through that. And sometimes it's important to say, hey, I do that too. I've been there. I'm doing that right now in my own way. So I'm sharing, these are the observations I've had. It's beautiful. It's happening more and more of these coming together of communities. I have people that I work with who are afraid to bring up certain topics that they're curious about because other people might look at them as if they have grown two heads. I've always, well, not always, because I used to feel like that too. Now I'm like, so how do you feel about UFOs? Is that something you're interested in? I'm just curious. What are your thoughts on that? I know how I feel about it. I'm certainly not going to go full throttle and be like, so that visitation I had last week was wild. How about yours? And they're like, I just don't even know if they're real. Obviously, we're using our discernment and we're just playing. We're dipping our toes in. And sometimes just that playfulness and curiosity, you might be surprised at what somebody else has to share around that. I'm still surprised when someone says, yeah, I'm a lucid dreamer. And I'm like, ooh, can we talk about that? Because sometimes people assume that because I do what I do, readings and, what I do. For those of you who watch this channel, I'm an intuitive, right? I use my intuition to read the field. I work with clients one-on-one. I work in groups. I do sound healing. I do light language. I do energy work. A lot of things, all kinds of things. And so when I'm doing an intuitive reading and I'm being asked questions, sometimes people think that you might know the answers to a lot more than you really do. But simultaneously, I'm equally impressed by someone who is able to just lucid dream. That isn't one of my talents, and I admire that. I'm really impressed by that. I'm really impressed by someone who just knows things. Sometimes I have to focus in order to get that information and feedback. And other times I'm like, oh, here I am calling myself an intuitive, and I totally screwed that one up. So in my own life, right? So we all can benefit from this in our own way, and we are all bringing these different gifts to the table, and it's just so cool to witness. So be open, be curious, ask questions, don't be afraid, because there's other people that you might be having a conversation with that happen to have a dream that came true, and they're still freaking out about it. And you might just be called to say, have you ever had a dream that's come true? And they might go, whoa, that is so weird that you asked me that, because last night, getting goosebumps. This is how it works. You guys, this is how we do, this is how we play. All right, that was my little rant and observation that I wanted to share with everybody. And what this has done is just, it makes me feel less alone. It makes me feel more playful. And we need that right now. We really do. We're in a place where there's a lot of things going on in the world in which we may not feel so expansive. We may be going through things that if we just talk about it, it gives us more clarity. It gives other people a sense of feeling community, and then it gives us a feeling of community as well. All right, let's go with the flow. Gotta go with the flow. So what I'm doing is dropping into my heart and just inviting myself to open to any messages that might be helpful for the collective. So we are moving into what we are all familiar with as the holiday season. This holiday, I'm being called to play with this. Okay, here we go. Okay, I just went down the rabbit hole with that one. So a holiday, obviously, Edom line here, is a holy day, right? So let's play with that. It also has reference to Sabbath. So I'm going to get into this a little deeper, and I know this is taking me into, for whatever reason, fives and sevens, seventh day fives. And it's interesting because it's basically a holy day. So we'll come back to that. Sabbath, it's taking me into holy. So health, good luck. I feel like there's probably a lot of deeper places we can go instead of this Edom line. But I went down the rabbit hole because it took me into Sabbath. And of course, there's the light side, there's the night side. But I kind of came into Shemitah, which is Hebrew, which was also called sabbatical year, which is the seventh. And this has to do with release. So this is getting to the root. Like, I like to get down into the root of what this really means. And if we come back to holy, I feel like there's something even bigger. It reminds me of holly, which of course is the plant. Oh boy, I can go into so many different layers here. But let's just kind of keep going with where we're guided to go with this. So as we observe, play on words, observe. Oh boy, I'm hearing OB, serve, and I'm hearing observe as in watch, as to witness, to feel into. As we observe these holidays, we are being called to come back into the wholeness, if you will, and unification and realization with our true calling, if you will, our true destiny. And that's a play on words as well. We are being called to observe, coming back into our own space of resonance that allows us to sync up with and take residence in the, I'm hearing precepts of the heart. And this is also a play on words. Okay, so I didn't know what that meant. A general rule intended to regulate behavior or thought, but it also is very biblical. I guess it has to do with, I'm looking for an example. Oh my gosh, you guys, it's so fun. I'm laughing at this because it says a precept, Bible studies. This is on like a sponsored ad, shopprecept.org, but it exists to engage people in relationship with God through knowing his word. Now I'm playing with that because everybody has a different idea of, and I'm not trying to say God is a man, a he or a she or anything, but I'm seeing the guides that I'm tuning into are like the holidays are meant for us to go back to that space of oneness through source, through the word. And that's why they're kind of playing with these words right now, like observe and being part of oneness, and holiness has to do with precepts. So I'm going to keep going. I'm breaking it up because I tend to do these videos and I never go back and dissect what it actually meant. We play with these words as always, for within the book it is written. We are the written word. We are the words that spill forth from this observation, if you will, and this is the play on words. We are written in form. I'm hearing that word. There's letters that are written when you, like, not hieroglyph, there's another word. We could call it syntax, the formats. We are creative forces of energy that are moving through this medium of reality through humanity as humans in contemplative form. For we are each recognizing a new form of identification, and we are being called to go back within to reform that which it is we communicate through and with, to change how it is that we perceive this written form. So that's a play on words, like us being the written form. So when I say writ, and it is so, if we talk about writing and writ, oh boy. Writing is, obviously we know what writing is, but it's a deeper meaning. It has to do with carve. In Sanskrit, it originally meant paint. It has to do with draw, design, tear or scratch. That's interesting. Yeah, so I'm just playing with this a bit. And I'm coming back to so it is written. So we are written into form. And I'm hearing back to the original, what does it say? And the word was one and let's read that quote. Well, one of them is, and the word was God made flesh. So we're playing with this because what does the holiday, what does it really represent? And of course, to some people, it really only they're not just referring to Christmas, although this has to do with the new year. It has to do with what does all of this represent. And I'm trying to keep away from religion in this. I'm trying not to go into the deeper layers of Christ and the Christed and born again and all of that. Whatever your belief structure is, whether it is Christianity or Judaism or whatever, let's say no religion, I'm trying to keep this very open for all of us to feel into the sound behind the sound. We are all energy written in form, in this human form. We have a written template through our DNA. Where does that DNA come from, right? And so the idea is we are all holy, for we are all part of this source. We are part of this document. That's a play on words. We are all part of this, back to community. So we are in the holidays, the holy days. Are we feeling into that? Are we being that representation of unification? And I'm just seeing that no matter what we believe, whatever our story is that we've read, that was written by man or woman or beings, it ultimately comes back to the inner circle. I'm hearing the Lion King, the inner circle of life, right in here. And so as we tune into that schematic and that divine blueprint, we begin to recognize and reorganize how divine each and every one of us is on this path of humanism, so to speak, for this human journey in humanity, is allowing us to see and perceive reality through eyes, through physicality. For the non-physical that we are created from, if you wish to say it that way, is not seen, so to speak, in the same way. It does not necessarily look as you and I might in this body, yet it is a body. It is a body of energy, of light, of love, of translucency, from one perspective, that we are weaved into and through, that we are embedded within. And so we seek to strike a chord as we share this message, and we seek to encourage all of those feeling into this to feel deeper into the resonance of the body, the temple of the heart. For as you unify with this energy, it allows this holiday season to come into a deeper resonance in which we all celebrate together. I'm even being shown abrate, like the cells in the body are, when we come into that resonance, they're celebrating. It's a vibration, a frequency of love. And as we transmit this signal, we write a code into the index, into the book of life, if you will. We move into a cycle or energy that allows us to communicate in this cycle of energy in time and space in a different way. For we are coming into a new age. We are coming into a new time where we will learn many new things that we have not known about before, or we are remembering things that were already known from one perspective. We are drumming up books, I'm hearing the little drummer boy, that were written long ago, scrolls and scribes transcribed down into the depths of the underground caves, tunnels, places and spaces hidden inside of the earth, and spaces that have been put on the back shelf for quite some time that are now being re-examined. And because we are ready in this now time to interpret this information that has been hidden, so to speak, or that we have hidden from ourselves, we begin to transcribe that which is written on the heart. We begin to unwind the DNA, if you will, and we begin to restart this time period from a different form, a different human form, an upgraded version of ourselves, if you will. And as our cells upgrade, we become more unified with the truth of the light that we each bring into the tribe, the community. And while there is still many different layers, there are shadows that add texture, that allow us to see the different formations and color. I'm being shown the texture in a painting, and I'm being shown when sunset hits, or when the mountains, that you can see the crevices because of the shadow. It gives more depth, and then we're able to see the difference, and we're able to embrace all of it from a different perspective. And I'm just seeing it's more of a coherence. It's more of a place of forgiveness. And forgiveness isn't even the right word. Acceptance. And it's not that we're accepting darkness as something that we want to participate in or that we agree with. That's not what the guides are saying at all. They're basically saying we are observing all of the stuff that's coming up, and we're rewriting it. We're recoding it, and we're doing it with more balance. And if we can do this from the heart, we become less, I'm hearing we become more observational and neutral than extreme, which tips the scales in a direction that doesn't allow us to fully resonate at our highest elevation. For we are being invited to elevate one another in the best way that we can. And this will be different for everyone. As we each rise up, and I'm hearing we are risen, again, written, again, it is written, it is so. As we ascend, as we remember, as we open our eyes to what is already here now, we begin to transcribe and read as the scribes. We begin to write a different story. We begin to upgrade our templates and formats, and we reformat that which is no longer applicable, play on words, to the new rendition of our reality structure. For we are each co-creating and building together the template, the temples of society. For each individual unique person is transcribed with a blueprint that offers an element of a nuanced variation that allows us to add texture, mobility, creativity, advancements beyond our current trajectory, one might say. So we invite everyone to play. We invite everyone to listen. I'm hearing a trumpet, to listen to the inner voice, the inner sanctity, if you will, the inner sanctity of wisdom and grace. For as we find this place within ourselves, that which is out of alignment with the realms of, I'm hearing the heavenly realms. And again, this is meant, take this in an expansive way. It's not necessarily a place, it's inside of us. As we begin to hear the sounds inside of us that are stored and written inside of our own template, we begin to restructure and reorganize and co-create a temple of worship, that which is worthy of so much more than we give ourselves credit for. That which is of the greatest value and resource, our own source connection to the deeper energies that are behind, inside, above, below, and within. Plays on words on this. The grand scheme, schematic. Oh, I'm hearing the shem. And together, I'm hearing that we ride this crazy train. Together we ride this crazy train. Going off the rails like a crazy train. And so we are invited to play, to listen to music, to play music, to sing songs, and to celebrate, to enhance our experience in every way possible, to come together and uplift one another during these times of great change. And as we do this, we are able to exchange so much knowledge, wisdom, energy. We are able to come together and quickly change that which has taken a long time. And we play with this for a moment. For time is different, and you and I are different, and how we interact in this time period, time piece is different. So as we allow ourselves to open, dance, sing, and practice this inner harmony, even in the most difficult of times, offering moment to moment, I'm seeing people holding hands. We are uplifting this reality faster than a blink of an eye, if you will. And I'm seeing the I, I'm seeing just I, the me, the we, the all that is woven into this magical weave of energy that we are all experiencing, creating. And I'm just hearing being, be in, within. So we end on this note. I'm being shown a boat, and like the ka, the ba, like the Egyptian boat that takes you to the other world. I'm just being shown that as a picture in my mind's eye right now. So coming back into that heart space, that resonance of equilibrium, of helping hands. And that's what this is all about right now. So we can continue to find that as we balance out the rest of our everyday lives, and encourage each other. This is so important right now. So that's the message from the guides right now. And I'll have more later, that we're going to play with some more words, and we're going to tune into some co-creative abilities. We're going to talk a little bit, I want to talk a little bit more in depth about fear. I never continued that video. I've got a huge series of videos that I want to do. So thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for sharing these videos and feeling into the energy that the guides have to share when they come through in these messages. In love and light, namaste.